Okay, so I just want to take a moment here and we're going to walk through the basics of what the STEM project is going to be for the rest of the semester. All right, so this is STEM Project 3. It's titled Feeding an Animal Population. Okay, the essential question for this STEM project is in relation to the STEM projects you did from semester 1. So if you think about what the project was for semester 1, it was we picked an endangered animal, okay, and we figured out why that animal is going extinct, okay? Why is that animal endangered? Okay, then we built a habitat for that animal, and we said we really need to get this habitat to be thriving, be surviving, and help this animal grow here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, we have our animal population, right? And we've actually helped our endangered species, right? And whether you keep that same endangered species or not from first semester, it doesn't really matter because this project is all about the ecosystem, right? So what we're saying is that the animal population within this ecosystem is reaching its carrying capacity to the point where available energy is not meeting the needs of the animals, right? So the carrying capacity, again, is talking about how many animals can live and sustain themselves within this environment. And so we're reaching that point where we do not have enough food to feed all those animals, okay? So your team's job is to find or develop a new genetically modified plant that can work to provide energy needed for this ecosystem, all right? Now, let me just throw this out here. We are not going to genetically modify plants in this class. And so I'm sorry if that got you real excited there. I just wanted to shut that down real quick here. Okay, we're going to propose how we would do this and what we would do. But at this moment, we do not have the technology to really do some good genetic modifications to these plants. All right. So that's basically what we're working on is we're trying to develop or propose what we would do to develop this new genetically modified plant. Okay, so the purpose of this is we're going to learn about genetics and the technology used to modify genetics, and we're going to put those to use to try to sustain this large population without altering the current ecosystem. All right, so, in first semester when we were trying to figure out how to feed these animals, people suggested putting in a watering system or an irrigation system or exposing it to more sunlight or altering the environment in some way, shape, or form. Okay, now what we're saying is we are in the wild. We are letting the environment do what it does naturally. We're going to focus on trying to help that plant in that environment, okay? So again, we're going to theoretically modify an existing plant or create a new species of plant to sustain this population growth here, all right? So what we're going to do is you already filled out those Google Forms for me. And again, thank you for all the responses. Okay, so you do not know what your ecosystem is right now. You do not know who's in your groups, but really that doesn't matter because the first couple of steps here for this STEM project is that you're going to work on your own. All right, so that's what we're going to focus on today is working on our own. We are going to stay on this Zoom meeting in case people have questions, right? Then I can just answer them and address them all as one big group. But you're going to be working on your own for the rest of today and figuring out these first two steps here with this project. Okay, you will find out your STEM groups next week, and you'll do an activity where you work on your ecosystem a little bit here. But that's a next week problem. Okay, so for part 1, okay, this is going to be brainstorming. And what you can do is when I release this presentation, you can either write directly on this or you can make a brand new Google Doc. It does not matter to me. Okay. But for part 1, what you are going to do is you are just going to brainstorm, all right? So I want to hyper focus on this. Do not research anything, okay? I'm asking you to generate 4 ideas of how you could modify a plant if you had absolutely no limits, all right? So you're going to develop these 4 ideas, and basically you're going to tell me if you could change one thing, what would you change and why would you change it? Okay, so for example, and yes, you could absolutely use this plant idea if you want, all right? Maybe you want your plant to bear fruit and it doesn't bear fruit at this moment, right? So if we're thinking about something like bamboo, right? Bamboo goes really quickly, but it doesn't bear fruit. So maybe you're thinking, okay, I want to make it add fruit to it. Maybe you want to make it hold moisture or grow longer or move with the sun, right? Be creative and just tell me, this is what I'd want to change and this is why I would want to change it, okay? In the top right corner, you're going to see that is our scoring criteria. So your goal is obviously to get in that 8, 9, or 10 category, okay? So if we look at that, it says ideas represent a variety of important and creative concepts from different contexts or disciplines. There are multiple idea items, okay? So bare minimum, in order to get an 8, you need to give me 4 different ideas, and they need to be 4 unique ideas. You cannot say, I want it to hold water, I want it to not need a lot of water, I need it to something else with water and more things with water, right? I want 4 completely unique ideas, right? That'll get you at least an 8, right? But if you want that 9, that 10, that A level thing, you need to give me some details as to why you want that, okay? I want it to hold water because this plant typically is in the desert where their water is unavailable. So if it can hold on to water, it's going to grow better, right? Boom. That is a 9 and 10 level answer here, okay? So when you're generating these ideas, this is supposed to be just off the top of your head, not researching anything, giving me the why did you think this would be a cool idea, all right? And again, if you have questions, we can talk about this on the Zoom meeting once we're done with this video here, okay? So again, 4 different ideas. You can either write it directly on here, start a Google Doc, whatever it is, but it needs to be your own 4 ideas. Everybody should have a unique 4. If you're working with somebody else, you're both going to get zeros, right? This is just brainstorming. Be creative here, okay? So that's part 1. Part 2 is, again, also on your own, but once you've come up with these 4 ideas, you are going to do a little bit of research for me, okay? And you're going to research answers to the following items, okay? So number 1 says, what is genetic engineering? 2 says, what is a genetically modified organism? 3 says, how does genetic engineering work? What is this process? Number 4 says, name 5 foods that have been genetically modified. 5 and 6 are asking you to list the pros and cons of GMOs, which is also known as genetically modified organisms, okay? So this one, obviously, you do need to research here. But again, my pet peeve, if you haven't picked it up by now, I do not want you using words that you do not understand. So do not just copy and paste from the internet. You need to actually take it, read it, figure out what it's telling you, and then put it in your own words here. So again, if we look at my grading criteria, we're obviously trying to get in that 8, 9, and 10 category. So it says complete and accurate information is developed with excellent details and descriptions. There are multiple ideas, right? So if you leave out any of these questions, you're automatically not in my 8, 9, or 10 category, okay? If you give me bare minimum, like you just say, a pro is grow faster, taste better, cheaper. Okay, that's an 8 level answer. You need to tell me, why is that a pro? It grows faster, which is better for our environment and blah, blah, blah. Or maybe it's worse for our environment because it's growing so fast and it's invasive, right? That's an 8, a 9, a 10 answer here, okay? So again, if you give me bare minimums, you're going to get the bare minimum score in that category here, all right? I have absolute faith that everybody should be able to get an 8, 9, 10. Again, bare minimum in both of those, because all I'm asking you to do is to make sure you answer and address every single question here, okay? Obviously, I would like full sentences, okay? So please, full sentences, like I said, reminder, work by yourself. These first 2 parts are independent. It's independent brainstorming, independent research here, okay? You must have your name on the doc, and then we can roll from there. All right. At that moment, okay, we're going to bring it back to our Zoom meeting, and if we've got any questions, let's address them before we all break off and start working on this on our own.